Well, I think that we are in a moment where rights are being questioned all over the planet, and I think we need to make a work of art that somehow can bring us to a place where we can think about these questions. Frederick Douglass is a very important, iconic African-American abolitionist. This show, Lessons of the Hour, Frederick Douglass, is really a kind of meditation on Frederick Douglass's work. What I've done is to, in a way, explore 3 important speeches that he made. He lived actually in Scotland and England for nearly 2 years when he was a fugitive slave. He came back to America actually a freed slave because he got his freedom bought by 2 northern women, the Richardson sisters. So it's a really interesting part of British history, and so he was a kind of really important figure in terms of really trying to establish a kind of democratic aspect for African American people in this country. Well, Frederick Douglass was born in 1818 and he died in 1895. And he was someone of a very sort of charismatic black leader of the 19th century. He was the most photographed man of the 19th century, more photographed than President Lincoln at the time. And that was because he believed that photography as a medium was going to in a way, the way in which the image of the black people at that particular time in America were being treated and stereotyped generally in the culture. But I think what we can learn from Frederick Douglass today is really how we need to, in a way, assess where we are today, especially in American culture. But generally in the world, there's a time of a lot of inequality. There's a time in terms of many people trying to roll back particular rights. If you think about African American culture in general, there's a president who's not very respectful of those rights at this moment in time. And I think I was really fascinated by his lecture on pictures, actually, to think of someone who was like an African American who was writing about photography 75 years before Walter Benjamin, and basically had a whole thesis and philosophy about the role of photography and how that could, in a way, transform people's lives. And I think, for me, that was quite astonishing to come across this text and then to have the opportunity to visualize it in the way that I've done in making the work. And so the working process can be making tintypes with a tintype specialist photographer to, in a way, emulate tintypes that Frederick Douglass would have actually seen himself or written about. So we have 4 portraits of Frederick Douglass, his best friend, and his wife. Of course, these are all played by actors, but we made the work in the same way that you would have made a tintype in the mid-19th century. Or you could go to see the film, which is a multiple screen work, 10 screen, which works with a parallel montage technique, and we shoot simultaneously in different spaces and create this sort of collage montage effect in terms of how it's edited as a kind of scenography, which in a way allows you to meditate on images of my construction of Frederick Douglass and his world.